It's time for another Dice Tower review with Tim Jennette.
Hey everyone, this is Tim Jennette, the Metal Meeple, and in this video we're going to take a look at a small dice game called Dungeon Roll. Dungeon Roll is a game by Chris Darden, came out in 2013 by Tasty Minstrel. It's for 1 to 4 players, and it takes about 15 minutes, or at least the box says it takes about 15 minutes. This is the Kickstarter box. I will say that multiple times in the video because I keep forgetting I said it, but it's a mimic from the Kickstarter. Anyway, it's a game where you're going to roll a bunch of party dice, generate your party, and try to go far into a dungeon to gain as much experience as you can over 3 rounds. Whoever has the most will be the winner. Let's take a look at it, and we'll come back and I'll tell you what I think. So each player is going to receive one of these heroes at random, or you can choose whatever you want. We're going to start with the Crusader. You're going to begin the game with on the side with the wood here. The other side you level up into, and it's all metal and looks all cool. But each player is going to receive one of these, and you're going to take 3 turns throughout the game. So on each player's turn, what's going to happen is first, that player is going to generate their party that they're going to take through this delve. And the idea is you're going to generate this party, go through as far as you can as you're losing these party dice, and then you're going to either drop out at some point and collect experience. Every player is going to do that 3 times, and whoever has the most experience at the end of the game will be the winner. So, on your turn, you're going to roll these 7 dice to generate your party. You get 1 roll, and that's what you're going to take with you. So let's take a look at one of these die. You've got the Fighter, the Mage, the Thief, and the Cleric. You also have the Scroll, and then the Champion. The Champion's kind of like a wild card. We'll go into these in just a minute. Once you have generated your party here, I should note that your character does have special abilities, but we're going to go over those in just a minute. But you have your party. The player to your left is going to be the Dungeoneer or whatever. He's going to roll the dungeon dice. So he's going to set the dungeon level to 1, set it off to the side. And I should note that these cards over here are part of the Kickstarter, I believe. This is the Graveyard and this is the Dragon's Lair. But anyway, set it to 1, and the player on the left is going to roll 1 die for each level. So in this case, he's going to start with 1. So let's take a look at this. We have the Skeleton side, the Ooze, the Goblin, and the Dragon. Those are all the bad sides. Now the good sides are the potions and the treasure chest. So let's roll it and see what happens. We're going to roll this, and we have a Goblin. What you're going to do is you're going to spin dice to kill that Goblin. Let's take a look at our handy dandy reference sheet here. You can spin 1 fighter to kill any number of goblins. So later on, when there's multiple goblin dice, you can spin 1 fighter to kill any number. So say there was 3 goblins, you can spin 1 of those to remove all those. You can also spin 1 fighter to remove 1 of each of the other ones. So skeleton or undead and the ooze, and you can spin 1 to open up 1 treasure chest. And you can see the pattern. Basically, the cleric kills any number of undead, 1 of each of the other ones. The mage kills all those slimes, but 1 of each of the other ones. And the thief can't kill any of those very effectively, but he can open up all the treasure chests. The champion is a wild. He can be used to do any of the above specials, so he can kill any number of those 3 monsters, or he can open up any number of chests. So let's take a look at our thing here. We're going to spin. Unfortunately, we do not have a fighter, but what we can do, the Scroll. Good time to explain this. The Scroll, you spin a scroll, put it on the graveyard, and you get to re-roll any number of dungeon and party dice. So since we have 2 scrolls, let's say I wanted to re-roll these. We have 2 clerics. Maybe we want to get something else, kind of diversify our party. Let's just say we're going to roll all 3 of these because maybe we can roll treasure chests out of that. But we rolled another goblin. We do have a fighter and a cleric. So say for now, we're going to spin 1 of the cleric to kill this goblin. He'll die and be removed, and then the player has the option to go on to the next dungeon level. So we're going to go to 2 and roll 2 dice. Now, anytime a dragon is rolled, the dragon is going to go appear on the Dragon's Lair. And at the end of each level, if you have 3 or more dragon dice over here, you're going to have to fight a dragon, deal with it somehow. But we've got this, and we're going to spin another, say a cleric to kill that, and we'll do 1 more level here, so 3. Now the way the phases actually go is the monster phase. You roll the dice and you generate the monsters. And let's just say, for instance, we had a treasure chest and this was a potion. The first phase is you have to kill the monsters before you can get to the potion and the treasure chest. So the monster phase, you deal with this. We're gonna spend a fighter to kill off the goblin here. He'll go in our graveyard. And then you can spend any of your dice to quaff as many potions as you want. So let's say there was extra potions out here. You can spend this die to eat, or spend this die to eat all those potions or quaff all those potions. Each potion is going to allow you to return one party die from the graveyard back into play on whatever face that you want. So right now you would spend one to get two. So let's say you did that, you're going to take two of these back. And you don't want to always have champions, even though they're good to have. You want to diversify a little bit just in case you have to fight a dragon. More on that in a minute. To open up the treasure chests, let's say you had two treasure chests out there. You can spend a thief or a champion or to open up any number of them, or you can spend any other die to open up one apiece. Obviously this is more beneficial, so a thief is going to do the handy dandy job of picking these locks, going into the graveyard because he killed himself doing so. And for each treasure chest that you open, you're going to draw one treasure token from the box here. So we flip this open, you don't look, and you draw two. Let's see what we got. So we have a ring of invisibility and some thieves tools, but we'll go over the treasures in a minute. Essentially though, you can set these off to the side and they can be used to different things. Spoiler, this one can be used as a thief at any point. So we're gonna set this off to the side. But at the end of the turn, after you kill off, or at the end of each level, if you kill off all the dice here, you have to deal with the dragon if there are 3 or more faces. So let's generate a random dragon here. Let's say we're on round 4, we just killed off everything, looted the treasure, and now we got a dragon. In order to kill a dragon, you have to spin 3 different heroes in order to kill it, 3 different companions. So we have a mage and we have a champion, but then we can't use the other champion because they have to all 3 be different. So in this case, we could use this token, this treasure token here, as a thief, because he does count as a thief. So we've got 3, you spend all 3 of these, this goes back in the treasure chest, and you kill the dragon. When you kill the dragon, you immediately score 1 experience point that you can take from the experience pool of tokens. You see there are different Roman numerals for experience. You get that point, plus you also get to draw 1 treasure from the box and get another goodie. Cool. So we've got a warrior, a Vorpal blade or something like that, but he essentially counts as a warrior. So we'll put that off to the side. We've killed the dragon goes back in the pool, and now you get to decide if you want to continue on to level 5 or whatever level you happen to be on. The problem is you don't want to push your luck because you only have 1 guy and you have a ring of invisibility and a fighter. So you have 2 dice that you might be going into level 5 with. However, that means the dungeon player is going to be rolling 5 of these dice. Now he could roll a bunch of treasure chests, he could roll a bunch of potions and allow you to continue on, but is it worth that risk? Because at the end of each level, you have the choice to leave the dungeon, collect experience equal to the dungeon. So in this case, you're on level 4, you would have gathered 4 experience, or you continue to press your luck, boom, to level 5. Once that flips over and the dice are rolled, you have no choice but to continue on. In this case, you would die a horrible death. Anyway, once you leave the round, like I said, you gather experience for the round. If you are already on level 10, which is this little dragon face here, you have to leave, you can't go past 10, but you get experience, and then the next player is going to form his party, take his turn going to the dungeon, seeing how far he can get. Each player is going to do this 3 times. Whoever has the most points is the winner. Everyone's going to have a specialty. This is basically a passive ability that's going to happen all the time. You also have a tap ability, which you can activate once per delve, because at the beginning of each delve, your character basically refreshes and you can use that ability 1 time during that delve. This one is Holy Strike. Once you tap it, this Crusader card counts as a cleric or a fighter. There's some other specials, but before we do that, anytime you have 5 XP or more, you can level up. Basically, hopefully at the end of the first delve, you'll get at least 5 XP and you can level up, flipping your character over. Usually one of these gets a little bit more powerful. In this case, the specialty stays the same, but you got Divine Intervention, which you can discard a treasure token to defeat basically everything out there. So it's a pretty cool way to get out of some trouble. So So let's look at some of the other ones. You can open chests and equip potions at any time during the monster phase. That's pretty cool because you can, if there's like 3 potions that are rolled and only 2 monster phases, you can eat those potions real quick to get more guys in order to take care of them. So, and then he can tap to transform 1 goblin into a thief. Anyway, you can read some of these abilities as I flip through them, but everybody gets one of these. One of the cool ones here is a mercenary. When you form your party, you get to reroll any number of party dice 1 time. So that's pretty neat. But so let's take a look at the treasures real quick. Essentially, these 4 over here are going to be mimics of the dice, of the size of the dice. So you have a warrior, you have a cleric, you have a mage and a thief. You also have a scroll. This one will act as a potion. The ring of invisibility will allow you to clear the dice from the dungeon lair or the dragon's lair so that you don't have to fight the dragon, and it doesn't count as defeating it, but you can at least bypass that dragon for that round. The ham bone, the dragon baits, will transform all remaining monsters on that current roll into dragon faces, so it's really cool. If you already have a 3 set of dragons up here and you've got 3 more monsters, you might as well spin this just to turn them all into dragons, because the dragons only fought when there's 3 or more. And last but not least, you have the town portal. It allows you to spend it and then get out of dodge, because I don't know if I finished my thought earlier, but if you do not complete a delve, say you're on level 5 and you cannot complete that level and you die and you can't fight all the monsters, you immediately lose that round and you don't gain any experience other than the treasures you might get. Because at the end of the game, treasures are worth 1 point apiece, except for dragon scales. Those are worth 2 for every set of 2 that you have. The town portal is also worth 2. Anyway, after all players have had their turn, you count up all your treasures and whatever experience you've gained from the level of each dungeon level you left at, so whoever has the most points will be the winner. There we are. That's Dungeon Roll. Now, I backed this game on Kickstarter and was very excited. I printed out the print and play and we played it multiple times. It wasn't until the game was done, the Kickstarter was finished, and it was getting ready to print and come out, that I realized one thing that really bothered me about this game, and it's the fact that the experience, or that the treasure tokens are worth experience. Because I found that as I played it multiple times with the same people, you got a bunch of treasures and you're like, I don't want to use these, because if I need to use any of these, you're literally losing 1 experience every time you use one. And that became a problem because players would have, say for instance, the other thing is the luck factor, because if somebody rolls 4 treasure chests for you, which can happen, you literally get a bunch of free treasures, especially if you have at least a thief to grab them all or whatever. But let's say you do, then you have a ton of treasures that's like 4 experience. That's 4 levels of the dungeon you don't need to do in order to beat somebody else. Now, you're thinking, well, you're only really going to use your treasures if you have to get out of trouble. Because you don't want to just go spending those without spending your dice. That's true. However, I want to play a game where I feel like I go and loot all this treasure and get to utilize it to the best of my ability. My best ability to use this treasure is to hoard it and use it as experience in the game. Now, I have played the game plenty of times where kind of house rolling it to where none of the treasure's worth anything except for the dragon scales, obviously, and the town portal. We still make it worth 1 XP instead of 2. And personally, my gaming group has found it more enjoyable. I really let me start over here. This is not a bad game. I do think it is not 15 minutes. It's way longer, and it's best with 2 players. Because there's nothing you can do outside of their turn. The 3 and 4 player are just sitting around waiting for you to finish. There's no strategy to be had. There's no thought process. You just watch. It's kind of funny. Sometimes you get really mad when you're like, you keep rolling potions. Why do you keep rolling potions? Anyway, so best with 2 players, but I think overall the game is enjoyable. It's kind of fun. I think it's probably more enjoyable as the dungeon person, the dungeoneer or whatever, who's rolling the dungeon dice, because the main player is just rolling those white dice 1 time, and you literally, everything else from then on just makes sense. Your only option at that point is, do you want to keep going or do you want to stop? Because if you stop, then, or if you keep going and you can't make it, you lose all that experience, and it's very detrimental. You almost never see somebody just press their luck unless it's absolutely necessary to do because the other players have more points than them. Anyway, the game is fun. I'm not trying to like harp on it too much, but I think the experience for the treasures really did kind of bother me. I know people might be able to sit out there and talk days about this and why it's not, but it's more of an experience thing, you know? I just feel like I want to use these treasures without having to say, man, if I use 2 of these, I've lost 2 levels just to go to the next level and get out. Or just to go to the next level and continue to try to go on. Sometimes it pays off. You know, sometimes you go on and they roll a bunch of stuff and you get a bunch of potions and get a lot of guys back. It happens. But I think for me, that's just one thing that turned me off to it. I still play it and I still enjoy it. Mostly just playing with people who's never seen it before or people who don't really play a lot of games. And it's definitely something to bring like on lunch at work. You can get a couple of games out during that. So anyway, if it seems remotely interesting, definitely try it. Don't let me say that it's not fun. I'm just saying one thing that I found nitpicky about the game that made it, you know, that kind of diluted it for me, but it's an awesome game. I really like the concept. It would be cool to see expansions. I know they've got expansions for character packs. That's another thing. I don't think all the character powers are balanced, but the game's so short it really kind of doesn't matter. The luck factor is really worse than the character powers. But anyway, it's definitely great. I mean, you know, try it out. If you don't like it immediately, you're probably not going to fall in love with it afterwards. But if you like it at first, just be aware that as you play the game and you try to get hardcore gamers in there to try to destroy the game as far as like balance and everything, you're probably going to run into a few arguments and people saying that character is way better than this or whatever. So take my words for what you will. Definitely try it out. But anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to email me at timjennette@gmail.com. You can also follow my Twitter handle below. And until next time, keep on rocking and rolling dice.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.